Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brandy, and we are delving into the next month. We have another horror medium monthly video, and this is going to be encompassing all of the stuff that I got into during the month of May. Now, a lot of stuff happened in May. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not trying to get sad in this video, but if you see my other videos, you know what's going on. But May was a little bit of a slower month for me in terms of horror content, so I didn't consume nearly as much as I normally do or would like to. But alas, life happens. So I do have a ton of movies because that's one thing I could do. I could get to some movies. I did get to some in the theaters, but we don't have any shows. I didn't get a chance to watch any horror shows this month. I know I got behind. That will be coming in the next month, though, so stay tuned for that. And we did get a couple of games, so I got a little bit of that to share with you. But before we get into it all, fellow reminder, I do put up new videos here every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern. So if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're liking this series, please check out the playlist so you can check out the previous episodes and any that follow after this, as well as I stream over on Twitch Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to be covering some of the games today that I actually streamed over on Twitch in this past month. So you're not going to want to miss that content, especially if you want to see it live. So definitely check it out over there. But without further ado, we're going to get into the movies that I checked out this month. And the first off is starting off with one that was a bit of a throwback. That is the movie Polaroid from 2019. Now, I had never heard of this movie before, so I'm assuming a lot of you haven't heard of it. So let me give you a little breakdown. Polaroid is about a high school loner who finds this vintage Polaroid camera. She actually gets it from a friend of hers that works at this like antique shop that she's also works at. And she realizes that it holds this dark and mysterious secret. She realizes anybody who gets their picture taken from it ends up meeting a tragic and untimely death. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because it is. The whole time I was watching this, I immediately was thinking of Say Cheese and Die, the Goosebumps episode. If you've ever seen that, where it's a Polaroid picture, and the people in the picture end up dying. It's a very similar concept, but this was just like more flushed out, but a very similar idea. I feel like it felt very in tune with kind of Final Destination-esque of like, you know, all of the people in the photo right off the beginning. So you know that, you know, there's going to be a certain sequence of who's going to die next and whatnot, and them trying to stop it. And then you can't cheat death, you know, just like those. So things get twisty. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. I don't think it was like the best movie ever. I don't think the acting was amazing, but I genuinely enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend giving it a watch. I watched it on Amazon Prime. It was free on there. I'm sure it's streaming other places, but that's at least where I was able to get it. So anything else I find it, I'll make sure to put that down below, but check that one out. Definitely recommend. I thought it was worth the watch. And second up, I was able to get to the theaters in the beginning of this month, and I got to see Abigail. Now, I know I'm a little bit behind because it technically came out back in like April, but I didn't get to see it until May, so it was a little delayed. But either way, this movie, if you didn't see Abigail or didn't hear anything about it, it is about a group of would-be criminals that kidnap a 12-year-old daughter of a powerful underworld figure. They are then holding her for ransom in this isolated mansion, and their plans start to unravel when they discover their young captive is actually a bloodthirsty vampire. So this, pretty much you understand the premise of the movie just from the trailer. The trailer gives you what the movie's about. You know that all of these people are in this mansion. They don't know that she's a vampire, and that, oh my god, she's a vampire, and she's trying to kill all the people in the mansion. So it's pretty self-explanatory. What you think the movie is about is exactly what it's about. I, despite knowing what it was and everything, pretty much, I've really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was silly. It was funny. I was curious, though, going into it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a self-aware funny horror movie where, like, the characters know that it's cheesy and they kind of lean into that. It wasn't like that at all. It was funny without it having to be too over the top and it being like a comedic horror movie, if that makes sense. It was big on the horror with comedic elements. So I thought it was the perfect mix. It did have some scary parts, but all around, it was an enjoyable movie. I would certainly watch this movie again. This would be something I would watch with friends. I would watch with family at home. I could see myself watching this multiple times because I really did enjoy it. Definitely recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. I believe it's out of theaters now, so we're still waiting to see where it's going to be streamed, but if you get a chance whenever it drops, definitely check it out. And continuing with movies that I saw in theaters in May, I also saw Tarot. Ooh, this movie, it was a doozy. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This movie was bad, and I don't mean good bad. It was bad. But before I get into all of that, let me give you a little rundown. The movie Tarot is about a bunch of friends that unwillingly unleash an unspeakable evil that is trapped within a cursed deck of tarot cards. One by one, they come face to face with fate, racing against death to escape the future foretold in their readings. Now, I thought this was going to be kind of Final Destination-esque, which is weird that I watched Polaroid early in the month, not really thinking the same. But it was a very similar feeling, once again, of the very beginning of the movie. First off, it throws you into the movie so incredibly quick, and you don't get any time to meet the cast. So you're not really connected to any of them because you don't know them. Like, I barely could tell you a single character's name in that movie because it just throws you in so fast. You aren't given that time to care about them. So when they die, it makes an impact, which, took me out of it for a bit. And then on top of that, the acting was just not good. Like, this felt like a low budget movie. And you could tell it was a lower budget movie. Like, it was bad. I kind of enjoyed it for a bad watch, but it's not a movie I need to watch again. I watched it once, I experienced it, and that was enough for me, honestly. I knew it was PG-13 going in, so I wasn't expecting much with the deaths. I had a feeling it was a lot of going to be panning away and you kind of coming to your own conclusion of what happened. And they did just that. You really didn't see much. But that didn't bother me. The thing that bothered me the most was just the absolutely weird and disconnected scenes that were kind of tossed in there. Like, there is one particular death scene that I won't go in depth into that happens that just takes you out of the movie completely. And it left me going, what the hell is happening right now? Like, what? Like, it wasn't even, and sometimes in horror movies, it doesn't feel super realistic, but it feels realistic in the realm of that movie. And nothing else within this movie seemed that far-fetched until that one. And I was like, I don't know what happened here. So, all around, it was bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was bad. If you like watching bad movies, you might enjoy this. You might enjoy it just for a watch to check it out. But don't get your hopes up for this movie because it wasn't great. But it is what it is. And I like going to the theaters to see movies, whether they're going to be good or bad horror movies, because I just enjoy the experience of being there. So nonetheless, it was a good watch. And then the next movie, we're throwing it back to a movie that came out in 2016, and that is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Now, I've heard people talk about this movie before, and I could have swore that I had seen it until I put the movie on, and I was like, I don't remember any of this, so I definitely didn't see it. But for those of you that haven't seen it and are interested, let me give you a spiel of it. The Autopsy of Jane Doe is about a coroner and his son that conduct an autopsy on a Jane Doe murder victim that is found in this house that's buried underneath the house, in the basement she's found. And she is completely without any markings on her outer body. She is pale. She's got nothing to indicate how she would have died. And as they go through the autopsy, a bunch of weird stuff starts happening, and they find all of these weird clues, and the story just continues to unfold and get weirder and weirder. Honestly, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it was a great movie by any means. The acting was and it was a little outlandish at sometimes. But I like that it was different. I've never watched a horror movie that took place in an autopsy room for the entirety of the movie. The entire movie takes place in the funeral home, which is underneath the house of the people that are doing the autopsy. Like, I guess they have the funeral home in a lower section underneath their house. I don't know. It was a weird kind of setup. Like, I would not live in my home with a funeral home underneath me with like dead people under there. I'm sorry. That just creeps me the hell out. Like, I don't know how you guys weren't already weirded out by that in the first place. But anyways, that is like the whole setting of the movie. It's just there, and it really only takes place in like the autopsy room, the hallway, like the office, the elevator, like the house upstairs, and then like another other hallway. Like that's it. So it's a very small setting, but so much happens that you don't feel as though it's like, oh, we really are only seeing a couple different scenes. I really liked it. I do feel like the twist at the end was kind of like I didn't love it. I was kind of hoping for a better payoff, I guess. But I really liked the concept, and I really liked that it was unique in the story. It was unique in the whole concept of it overall. So it's definitely worth the watch. I watched it on Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if it's streaming other places because it is a 2016 title, so it's a little bit older now. But definitely worth the watch. And last but not least, I checked out the movie Escape Room, which I don't know why I had a tendency of picking like Final Destination, kind of like one person dies after another movies this past month. But I guess that was just what I was vibing with, and this kind of followed suit with that. Escape Room came out in 2019, and it is a movie about 6 adventurous strangers that travel to a mysterious building to experience an escape room, a game where players compete to solve a series of puzzles to try to win $10,000. What starts out as a seemingly fun and innocent game soon turns into a living nightmare as the 4 men and 2 women discover that each room is an elaborate trap that's part of a sadistic game of life or death. Yeah, that's really, honestly, that's what it is. It's a bunch of different escape rooms that are different scenarios, that it's like escape room to the extreme. This movie made me think of the movie The Cube, if you've ever seen that movie before, where they were in these different rooms and they kind of had to escape through the rooms to other rooms next to them to figure their way out of this maze. So that was a little bit different because it was more of a maze they were escaping from, and this is literally the concept of we escape one room by getting the key and the this and the that and then on to the next. They don't know how many rooms there are in the beginning, so they don't know how much they have to escape, and they don't know that anyone can actually die until they get to like a few rooms in. So it really doesn't click with them until the first death happens, and then they're like, holy shit, this is real. Like, this is happening, and we need to get out of here. I thought the movie was going to be cheesy. It was a little cheesy. It initially drew me in because one of the main characters is this chick from, I remember watching her in True Blood, and I really liked her in that. So honestly, I saw her on the cover, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. That was like one of my main motivators to watch it, I ain't gonna lie. But I'm glad that I did, because this was actually really fun, and trying to figure out who was gonna make it to the end. And I really liked them getting to each new escape room because I wanted to see what was gonna happen and who was gonna be like the last one out or whatever was gonna be the scenario. So it was really interesting to follow along, and you were interested from start to finish. There wasn't really any slow parts within it. So it kept the viewer wanting to figure out what was going to happen by the end of it. So I really liked it. And then it even ended on a cliffhanger that kind of teased a second one. There's other movies that I felt are similar to this that now I want to look into a little bit more. But definitely recommend if you like puzzly movies, or it gave a little bit of a Saw feel too. So if you like movies that kind of have you guessing as you're watching the movie, this will definitely be up your alley. Now, that was the last of the movies that I checked out this month, and second up, I had some games. I didn't get to a lot of games, nor did I do any like full playthroughs really, but I did check out a couple, and I wanted to share this with you. So the first of that being, I checked out this game called Venture to the Vile. I really was excited for this game. I had first checked it out at PAX. If you guys didn't check out my PAX East video, I'm going to put it up here for you to go check out. I checked out the Venture to the Wire booth at PAX, and I was able to speak with the developers there, and they sent me this whole care package, a bunch of merch and other cool stuff, and they were absolute sweethearts, and I was super excited to try this game out. But for those of you that are not familiar with the game, Venture the Vial is a game where you dive into this strange town called Rainybrook, which is taken over by the Vial. The Vial is this, like, weird, overgrown, like, treacherous kind of terrain that you have to navigate through. And there was a lot of bosses within there that when you do defeat the bosses, you're able to absorb their powers and continue to grow your character. Now, this is a, like, 2/3D sort of game, so it is kind of side scroller, but there's added elements because you can go forward and backwards at different times, which is really, really cool. I have not yet finished this game. I am probably like 6-7 hours into it now. This game, I read somewhere that it could be as long as like a 10 to a 20-hour game depending on how much you explore, because there is some freedom to explore different places and venture around, hence the name. You can kind of go your own pace in your own direction, even though there is a set like path on how to necessarily complete the game. So I do like that it has some more open-ended options with how you want to play it. And I am looking forward to playing more of this in the next month and finishing it up. So if you do want to check it out, I will be streaming more of this over on my channel. So feel free to come through over on Twitch sometime because I'd love to have you over there. And then last but not least, another game that I actually got to check out at PAX. So I'll put a little bit of the footage here over on screen so you can see some of it when I did check it out at PAX. I had the absolute pleasure of chatting with the creators of the original franchise from the movie and playing with them at PAX. So the fact that this game finally released, it actually released in June, but I had an early copy of the game, so I got to play it officially in May, which is really exciting. And I love the concept of this game. It follows suit with the movie. If you're not familiar, you can either take on the role of a clown or you can be a human, and you're going to cooperate in a team of either 3 as the clowns or 7 as the humans. There's a lot of outlandish abilities. You can hunt humans with different weapons, and you can proc this clown apocalypse where the entire map pretty much explodes and everyone, dies. And the entire point of it, as a clown at least, is you're trying to harvest the population of Crescent Cove and take out all of the humans before they are able to escape. For those of you looking to play it, I would say it's very similar to Friday the 13th if you ever played that game. The size of the map is quite large. There's actually 2 maps already out. Very, very large maps with a lot going on. And honestly, whether you're the killer or one of the humans, there's a lot of versatility in the style of gameplay in terms of which characters you can play as, which abilities they have, and the fact that as a human you can pick up objects and you can fight back against the clowns. It gives this added dimension to the game that the clowns are not invincible. The killer can be killed. Not permanently, you will respawn, but they can be killed. So the humans are not defenseless like they are in so many other games where you're against, you're against the killer trying to survive. I have played this quite a few times this past month so far, and I've been really enjoying it, both on the killer side and the human side. I am quite bad, so don't come for me. I am still kind of learning the ins and outs of everything, but I've been genuinely really enjoying it. And when I play a clown, more times than not, I am not attacking a survivor. I am trying to find the cotton candy pods and hang them up so I can start the clown apocalypse, because that's the only way I'm winning the game, let's be honest. Because I'm not taking out the humans. They're way too smart for me, and they tag team me, and I go down. So, and as a human, there's like several different exits that you can escape from. And every exit, though, can only have a certain amount of people exit through that exit, which makes it so much more difficult because you can't just like open a door and then all 7 people go out the same door. It's not that simple. There's a lot more to it. So it really kind of leans both ways. Like at first, when I first played it, it felt very killer-sided, but honestly, the humans or the clowns really have a chance here. And the fact that there was proximity chat in the game makes it so much more fun with friends. So If you haven't checked this game out, I highly recommend it. It's super fun, and I look forward to playing more of it in the future. That is going to be it for all of the content I consumed this month. I did get some physical media. I did go to a couple of thrift stores, and I got some stuff from my dad. So I'm going to share a couple of things that I got with you guys real quick before we wrap this up. And starting off strong, John Tucker Messiah. It's not a horror movie. I know it's not a horror movie, but I've been looking for this movie for so long, and I found it when I was out looking for horror movies, so I figured I'd share it. I don't know if any of you guys love this movie like I do. It's so bad, it's good. But yeah, let's get that out of the way. But the first movie I found while thrifting was Disturbia. I love this movie. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, it really is just... It gives kind of like a older movie feel, even though it came out in the early 2000s. It's with Shia LaBeouf. It's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. One of my favorites. It's not like super scary, but it definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat for the entire thing, and it keeps you guessing like what's going to happen next. Then next up, we have a classic. Now look at this cool box. I literally could not pass this up. This is Jurassic Park 3, which... Funny enough, this movie scared the absolute shit out of me when I was a kid. I don't know why. Not Jurassic 1 or Jurassic Park 2, but Jurassic Park 3 scared me. I honestly couldn't tell you. This movie came out when I was in like 1st or 2nd grade, somewhere around there. And yeah, I was like scared shitless for whatever reason. I don't know why. But now it's like one of my favorites. I love this movie. Aside from the first movie, this is probably my 2nd favorite Jurassic Park World whatever movie of the entire franchise. It's so good, and that like ringtone of the guy's cell phone is forever embedded into my brain. Next up, we have another classic. I know what you did last summer. This is such a good early 2000s like campy, kind of cheesy, kind of bad acting, but you love it movie. And I found a couple of those this month. So when I saw this, I was very excited to add it to my collection. So this is a good one. You need to put these discs back in here better. And then next up, we got a 2-for-1. So my dad was going through movies, and he found The Ring, which this is one of my absolute favorite horror movies of all time. I would say it's definitely in my top 10, if not in my top 5. I would probably put it in my top 5, honestly. It's so good. It's so freaking scary. The first time I ever watched this was like right around the time that my dad had just gotten a cell phone. And I remember we had watched the movie at home, and then he went outside in his car and he had called the house phone with his cell phone. And he was like, 7 days. And I was like, Dad, why? Why are you like this? But that's my dad for you guys. But yeah, we've got The Ring. And while I was out thrifting, I found The Ring 2. Now, this movie is not nearly as good as the first one, but I figured I got to get all the Ring movies, so I just got to get Rings next, and I have the collection. And look at this little nugget. This sticker is a Blockbuster sticker. Oh my gosh. I was taking the stickers off because whenever I get them, I try to clean them up a little bit because, like, dude, the videos at Goodwill, where have these people been putting these movies? How are they so dirty? Did you, like, have, like, a melted chocolate bar before you donated this? Like, what happened? But I kept this sticker on because just the nostalgia of it and seeing the Blockbuster sticker. Dude, it even says 10/17/05 on here. Somebody probably took this and rented it out and never returned it because it doesn't have a price. How dare they? Be kind and rewind. But Ring 2. And then last but not least, my dad was going through his stuff and he hooked me up with the original Halloween. This movie's a classic. This one's easily in my top 5. Halloween is probably my favorite of like the classic slasher horror movies out there. It's so good. I watch it every single time it's on TV. I probably watch it a good 20 times every October. It's a classic. It's so good. It's hard to top it. But that is everything that I was able to find this month. So we do got a good mix. Not quite as much as some of the other ones, but definitely a good mix nonetheless. And I'm going to keep looking for more physical media. I did not find any of the things that I had announced in the last video that I was looking for. So I am still on the hunt for Trick or Treat, Jennifer's Body, and Cabin in the Woods. These are my things that I'm trying to find, so I'm going to be on the hunt for those right now. That's what I have up next. And yeah, I think that's it for now. If I think of more, there's definitely more that I want, but that's what's on my agenda as of right now. But that is going to be it for me for today. I hope you guys like this wrap up for the month of May. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and let me know what horror stuff do you want me to check out next. Do you guys have any suggestions for movies, shows, or games, or anything of the sorts? I would love to see what you guys have been checking out and if I should check it out too. But that's it for me. If you like this, give it a big thumbs up, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. So until then, bye!